Good afternoon, everyone. This is Mibe, and I'm assuming the position of CEO of Honda from this April. Thank you very much for taking the time from your busy schedule to be here today. This month, Honda made a new start under a new management team. So today, I would like to tell you about the direction Honda under this new management team will take from here on forward. First, I would like to share our understanding of the current environment surrounding Honda and discuss what Honda wants to achieve in such an environment. As we all know, the COVID-19 has definitely changed our daily lives and society for sure. Tracing back through human history, major pandemics such as this one have triggered changes in society, and I believe that this pandemic may also become a catalyst for major changes in the coming years. I myself have been reminded of how precious life is, how finite time is, and how important human relationships are. I believe that many people around the world also came to develop a stronger desire to make the most of their limited time and make their lives safer, more free, and more enjoyable. This is what I believe. At the same time, we have reaffirmed the importance of cooperation and harmony as members of society and have become more aware of making a proactive contribution to society. In particular, such awareness is being directed toward global environmental issues, and I believe that a transition toward a society where people are more conscious about coexisting with the global environment will occur at an accelerated speed. To summarize the current situation, I believe increased interest in ethical behaviors, solving global environment issues, and return to people-focused values. These three are the key trends going forward. Turning our eye to Honda. Honda is a mobility company that offers a wide range of products, including motorcycles, automobiles, life creation products such as power equipment and outboard motors, and aircraft as well. And with all of those mobility products combined, Honda is the world's largest power unit manufacturer. Since its founding and through our wide array of power units, Honda has been always contributing to the advancement of mobility and people's daily lives by providing the power which enables people to take actions, and we take pride in that. And now, in light of changes happening in our society, what kind of value should we provide in the future? We believe that working to pursue the elimination of our environmental impact and realization of safety, protecting precious human lives are the two answers. Based on this belief, we work comprehensively to address the challenges in the areas of environment and safety. To be more specific, in the area of environment, we will aim to realize carbon neutrality for all products and corporate activities Honda is involved in by 2050. In the area of safety, we will aim for zero traffic collision fatalities involving Honda motorcycles and automobiles globally by 2050. In addition to achieving these environmental and safety goals, Honda will aim to lead advancements in the areas of mobility, the power unit, energy, and also robotics as well. Offering such value to our customers and society, what kind of company do we want to be? We want to be a company that can give power to people around the world who are trying to do things on their own initiatives, including those who are trying to make changes to the society that they live in, and others who strive to enhance the quality of people's daily lives. In other words, people powered by Honda. By becoming the power that supports people who are trying to do things on their own initiative, we will become a company that can help people expand their own potential. This means Honda will become a company that people want to exist. To have a firm footing in working toward our environmental safety goals with such strong determination, we must ensure that our goal to solidify our existing businesses is firstly achieved. To this end, we will continue to work on the optimization of production capacity and the improvement of efficiency of our monozukuri manufacturing, mainly in automobile business, in order to reap the positive results of our ongoing efforts to strengthen our business structure. So on top of that, today, I would like to introduce initiatives we will take in the area of environment, safety, and also preparation for the future, as shown on the screen. First, the initiatives in the area of global environment. I said that Honda would aim for carbon neutrality by 2050, but that is not all without what we want to do. What Honda will aim for is a circular or resource recycling society that aims for zero environmental impact, which will allow people to sustain life on the earth. To realize such a society, Honda will focus on the following three pillars: carbon neutrality, clean energy shift, and resource circulation. Those will be the pillars. We will strive for zero environmental impact of not only products but the entire product life cycle, including our corporate activities. We will set our targets in line with the so-called 1.5 degrees C scenario, which we will develop on the targets set in the Paris Agreement. In addition to the electrification of a motorcycle and automobile products, we will expand the range of user-friendly electrified products with our Honda Mobility Power Packs, swappable batteries. Also, we will expand utilization of renewable energy by infrastructure-linked smart power operations when charging these products. Moreover, we will be proactive in promoting the utilization of hydrogen in addition to electricity, as various scenarios are possible for the further expansion of the use of renewable energy. In the long run, we will aim for a multi-pathway of energy that includes carbon-neutral fuels, which will be effective in all areas, including areas where electrification is difficult, such as with aircraft. We believe that this concept will become the basis of energy use that supports the pursuit of society with zero environmental impact. Furthermore, we will pursue research on material recycling, including reuse of recycling batteries, and take on the challenge of developing products made from 100% sustainable materials. Also, by connecting electrified mobility products and energy services, we will also continue to work on the concept of Honda e-Mass, through which Honda will contribute to the freedom mobility and expanded use of renewable energy. In 2019, we introduced the overview of this concept. Since then, we have been working on more specific initiatives while categorizing them into three layers, which are shown here. These are expansion of utilization of mobile power packs, utilization of large-capacity batteries mainly for electrified automobile products, and application implementation of fuel cell systems, FC system. With these three core initiatives, we will continue to make steady progress.
Next, let me talk about electrification of our automobile products. It is difficult to predict the popularization of electrified vehicles because the level of customer acceptance, readiness of infrastructure, and availability of renewable energy are different in each region, and they are changing rapidly. However, as an automaker, it is our responsibility to achieve our carbon-free goal on a tank-to-wheel basis. So Honda will strive to increase the ratio of EV FCV within overall unit sales in all advanced nations to 40% by 2030, 80% by 2035, then 100% globally by 2040. To attain these challenging targets, we must make a collective effort in entire value chain from development to production to sales. There are various challenges we need to address. For example, procurement of batteries, including raw materials, accommodating the new kinds of automobile manufacturing with the advanced digital technologies in addition to electrification, and changes in our business environment that is continued to exist. Because of this, not all of the pieces of our mid to long-term electrification strategy is in place yet. However, since its founding, Honda has always been a company that continues to take on challenges and has many people who became motivated with the challenging targets. I am one of them, and that is how I worked on the development of environmental technologies. Although there are still many things to be worked out, but by setting and articulating long-term goals, by doing this, we will share the same view what are trying to do and take on challenges to realization of the goals. Today, I'd like to introduce our automobile electrification strategy for each three key markets: North America, China, and Japan. In North America, we will strive for EV/CV unit sales ratio of 40% by 2030, 80% by 2035, and 100% by 2040. Leveraging the alliance with the GM, we will pursue electrification efficiently by taking advantages of strength of both companies. Last year, we announced these ideas for collaboration with GM. Based on our continued discussion, we are currently moving to mutually utilizing new models that feature the EV technologies of both companies. To be more specific, we are jointly developing two large-sized EV models by GM batteries led by GM. And we are planning to introduce these models to North American market as model year 2024 vehicles, one from Honda brand and one from Acura brand. And from the second half of 2020s, Honda will lead to launch a series of new EV models which adopt e-architecture, new Eevee Platform led by Honda. And they will first be introduced to the North American market and then to other regions of the world. Furthermore, both companies will continue exploring opportunities to collaborate for joint purchasing and advanced technologies. In China, based on global targets, we will strive for EV/FCV unit sales ratio of 40% by 2030, 80% by 2035, and 100% by 2040. We have been introducing EV models utilizing local resources in China, and we will be accelerating this approach. As was announced at the Auto Shanghai, we will introduce 10 Honda brand EV models within 5 years. These 10 mass production models based on the Honda SUV e-prototype are scheduled to be launched in spring of 2022. In order to implement this plan and accelerate our electrification in China, we will further pursue the utilization of local resources with strengthening our collaboration with CATL for supply of batteries, which are core components for electrification. For Japan, we set EV/FCV unit sales ratio target of 20% by 2030, 80% by 2035, and 100% by 2040, including high EV. We will aim to electrify 100% of our automobile unit sales in Japan by 2030. The key to achieve these targets is electrification of mini vehicle, which accounts for the large portion of our sales volume in Japan. Therefore, we will introduce a first EV model in the K car segment in 2040, and we will continue making progress in electrification of our mini vehicles both hybrid and EV. And for the procurement of batteries, local procurement and local production, therefore, we will contribute to the growth of domestic industries. And in the area of mobility services, we are aiming to introduce the Cruise Origin electric self-driving vehicle Honda is currently developing with GM and Cruise. And this will be launched in the mid-2020s. And in order to do this, a battery is very important. And also to secure the advanced competitiveness, Honda is conducting independent research on all solid-state batteries as the next generation batteries for high capacity and low cost. Now we are having clear achievements from lab-level researches. We will start the verification of production technology using a demonstration line starting this fiscal year. We will begin accelerating this research to make these batteries available for our new models to be introduced in the second half of 2020s. We have been offering creative movers products such as Odyssey and Step Wagon for creating better daily lives for people. This has not been changed in the world of EVs by combining digital technologies and existing strengths such as uniqueness of creativity and original design. We will add value.
Next, I'd like to talk about the electrification of motorcycle products. Motorcycles are an indispensable means of transport that support people's daily lives in emerging countries in Asia and other regions, where Honda has been maintaining the world's largest market share. In emerging countries, total CO2 emissions is expected to increase in line with future economic development. Therefore, in the Paris Agreement, the governments of each country have set targets for how much they can reduce their CO2 emissions in relation to the total projected amount and the percentage of GDP. As the responsibility of the world's #1 motorcycle manufacturer, Honda has set CO2 reduction rate targets that far exceed all of those set by the governments of emerging countries, and will strive to lead the industry at the forefront of environmental initiatives of the motorcycle industry. Our approach will include not only electrification, but also the improvement of the fuel efficiency of gasoline engines, utilization of biofuels, and other strategies. The key to successful electrification of motorcycle products at affordable price rates is to consider the battery, which is expensive, separate from the motorcycle. Based on this idea, we have begun involving our electrification strategy focused on swappable battery, namely Honda Mobile Power Pack. In advanced nations where electrification demand is strong, we will pursue an EV shift utilizing mobile power pack targeting our B2B and B2G customers. In Japan, following the successful delivery of Bentley E business use electric scooters to Japan Post, we will further expand sales to other business customers for their use in various delivery services. In the meantime, in order to popularize electric motorcycles among individual customers, we must not only enhance our products, but also make many battery swapping stations available, make them available, and then make them compatible with other EVs. To this end, in Japan, we have established a consortium with 4 Japanese motorcycle OEM, and also in Europe, a consortium with local manufacturers to develop technology standards for swappable batteries. In fact, recently, we have reached an agreement to standardize the specifications for Japan. Moreover, we have a vision to expand mobile power pack applications beyond motorcycles to power products and micro-mobility products as well. With this vision, for example, we have begun demonstration testing of mobile power pack in India using rickshaw type of tricycle taxis as well. In order to accommodate the diverse needs of our customers, we will aim for a lineup of electric motorcycles which will include business use models, which is our current focus, as well as high value-added models. For business use models, the lineup of Honda E business bike series models, including the Bentley E, will be completed when we introduce Gyro E and Gyro Canopy E this year. Moreover, by 2024, we are planning to introduce 3 new EV models for personal use in engine size of below 50cc and below 125cc. We are planning to introduce also a fun area as well. Honda will continue to introduce EV models in each region promptly based on changing demand. Another pillar for realizing carbon neutrality is fuel cells, or FC for short. We are expecting that hydrogen will be popularized in society as a renewable energy source. We have a long history of researching, developing, and commercializing FC technologies, and we will take advantages of our experience as a strength unique only to Honda. While continuing our current collaboration with GM, Honda will aim to reduce costs and realize a hydrogen society by expanding our lineup of FC vehicles and also by using FC systems for a wide range of applications, including commercial trucks, as well as both stationary and movable power sources as well. Let us move on to our safety initiatives. As a manufacturer of mobility products that people entrust their lives with, safety is crucial. Based on this belief, Honda is determined to aim for zero traffic collision fatalities involving Honda motorcycles and automobiles globally by 2050. The major challenge for this goal is how to eliminate motorcycle accident fatalities, especially in emerging countries. How we can eliminate it, because currently we are struggling even to collect accurate accident data currently, so we must say that the hurdle we must overcome is extremely high. However, we have a social responsibility as the biggest manufacturer and seller of motorcycles in the world. By taking on this challenge, Honda wants to enhance the overall safety of society and create a safe world in which everyone who shares the roads can coexist with peace of mind. And we want to be the generator of such a transformation of society. In terms of expanding the range of our safety technologies, since many motorcycle collisions fatality involve automobiles, we will aim to apply our omnidirectional ADAS, an advanced driver assistance system we envision beyond the current Honda sensing, to all new automobile models we introduce in advanced nation by 2030. By leveraging the knowledge and know-how we have amassed through R&D of our Level 3 automated driving technologies, which we recently began sales of in Japan, we will further enhance the intelligence of ADAS, which increases the percentage of collision patterns covered by ADAS. In addition, as a company that has both motorcycle and automobile businesses, we will continue to strengthen our research and safety technologies that enable motorcycles and automobiles to safely coexist. However, technology research is not enough. Particularly in emerging countries, there are many collisions that can be prevented by traffic safety education and also by approaching the issue from infrastructure and governmental policies. Honda will focus on those areas as well. In this way, by leveraging the strength of Honda, we will continue to lead the way to realize a collision-free society in both hardware and software.
I introduced Honda's initiatives in the areas of environment and safety. In order to keep making progress, it becomes essential for us to invest aggressively for R&D. Over the next 6 years, Honda will invest a total of approximately 5 trillion yen as R&D expenses. We will secure this amount despite a fluctuation in our sales revenues. In R&D, there are still some areas we need to strengthen, such as our system and capability for the development of digital technologies. Therefore, we will take necessary measures, including alliances, as quickly as possible. For electrification, we need to be proactive in building a strong value chain. Investment in this area will be made a case-by-case basis separately from R&D investment with a careful examination for the future potential of such items. In order to make such investments possible, we will continue to make decisions and act promptly where they are necessary for the allocation of corporate resources to existing businesses on the selection and concentration approach. Lastly, I would like to talk about our preparation for the future. As was mentioned at the beginning, Honda wants to be a company that leads the advancement of mobility, power units, energy, and robotics, and become a power that supports people who are motivated to do things in their initiatives. This makes Honda a company that can help people expand their own potential. Often I am asked what are the unique characteristics of Honda. I believe they are represented by value we derive by thinking through the very essence of things and our originality. People are not expecting ordinary things from Honda. Honda, with a group of individuals who have strong desire to be original. We value people's dreams and continue taking on challenges toward ambitious targets. And we would like to pursue the essence of things and originality continuously. Currently at Honda R&D, we are continuing research on leading-edge environmental and safety technologies in order to realize a society with zero environmental impact and a collision-free society. Also, we are making progress in research on technologies which will expand mobility into third and fourth dimension into skies, ocean, outer space, and area of robotics. Because of the time limitation, I will not be able to explain this, but we would like to have a separate opportunity to talk about these future technologies. But now I would like to show you the image by a short animation. How did you feel? It was too short to understand, probably. In order to strive and realize this kind of world, Honda will continue investing in advanced and cutting-edge technologies, and this will be continued. Last year, we enabled Honda R&D to focus on the research of advanced technologies. We will strengthen our original research of technologies by ensuring optimal allocation of resources. Moreover, in order to actively create and deliver new value for our customers, we have established Ignition 2.0, which is a new business creation program. And we may have a person who will be spinned off from Honda from this program and then start up our business, their own businesses. And I hope they will be introduced shortly to you. This will conclude the introduction of what kind of company Honda is trying to become under the new management team and new direction of our initiatives. We are planning to arrange separate opportunities in the future to discuss more about specific initiatives to attain these targets, and in the area of environment and safety, and also technologies. As was mentioned, in the midst of post-COVID changes, our society is experiencing Honda will face the environmental and safety challenges in pursuit of elimination of environmental impact and realization of safety, protecting precious human lives. We would like to be a company, people saying we are glad Honda exists and Honda will definitely do it. In order to be like this, even though the business environment is changing, we would like to be more resilient to changes in our business environment and speedily implement large-scale action plans. And we will be more aggressive, and also we will ask ourselves what it means to maintain our uniqueness of Honda and to continuous and warm support of members of media and all stakeholders will be highly appreciated. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you very much for waiting, everyone. Once again, thank you very much to attend our Honda's President Inaugural press meet conference, and also participating in the Zoom. Thank you very much. And then we'd like to start the Q&A session about the contents described by Mibe. My name is Okamoto from Corporate Communications, who will be the facilitator for this session. Thank you very much. For COVID-19 precaution, we have people in person here and also some online participants as well. So first, we'd like to take questions from you in this room, from you first, and then followed by questions from those participating online. I hope you can cooperate for this. Okay, first of all, then we'd like to take questions from those present in the hall here. Please raise your hand if you have a question. We'll take a microphone to you, so please let us know your company name and your personal name. And also, due to time restriction, we would like to limit to up to 2 questions per person. We ask for your cooperation. Then, please, those with your questions, please raise your hand. Okay, then the gentleman on the far end on the front row, please. My name is Tsuboi from NHK. I have 2 questions. First of all, concerning automobile business, Honda engine has a hybrid engine. The percentage has been going up, but this time in the targets, you said EV and FCV 100% by 2040. So if you want to go for a carbon neutrality for 2050, what's the reason that you committed to this much? How are you going to get there? And my second question, is it okay I continue? Yes. And then if you look at the greenhouse gas effect gas, yesterday the government announced 46% reduction compared to 2013. So they said that if they say the renewable energy use expands, that's a very big demand on the auto industry as well. So I'd like to hear how you took that. Okay, thank you very much for your questions. Okay, firstly about the 100% EV and FCV by 2040. So I announced this today. Originally, last year, when I believe Mr. Hachigo mentioned in last year's press conference about when we left Formula One, we decided already that we wanted to go for carbon neutrality. Of course, assuming that we will definitely get there. I mean, of course, there's a time of ownership for cars. We expect to be 10 years. So if we wanted to make it 0 by 2050, then we need to eliminate by 2040 that we need to eliminate all CO2 that gets out of that's emitted from new vehicles. So in order to realize that, what we have is EV and FCV. So that's why I use the expression EV and FCV. However, we still got 20 years, so we will probably, if we can come up with new technologies, that will be added to this range of products. But as of today, I just wanted to make sure we don't lose focus. So I just said EV and FCV for now. Okay, so last night, I believe, not today, I believe the Prime Minister Suga mentioned, so Japan will go for reduced by, not by 26%, but he said 46% versus 2013, which is a very ambitious target. So that's what he announced this morning, today. So if you do some calculations, for example, if we want to get to 0 vehicles by 2040, we still have 20 years. So then 2030 is a milestone, the midpoint during those 20 years. Then by then, how much should we have reduced in order to realize 0 emission from new vehicles by 2040? So if we do a science-based targets, we can't really delay things until the last moment when we make a dramatic improvement. So, sorry if I got it wrong, but you need to make improvement by like a 4.2% per year. Otherwise, you won't get to the 2030 or 2040 or 2050 targets. But if you do a calculation, so we've done this kind of calculation and come up with this number of targets today. So we felt that we needed to get to that much by 2030. So this time, this government's proposal, I believe, is a feasible number. So 2050 carbon neutrality, to get there, I know this is a very ambitious target, but still, if you the 2040 target is ambitious, but I believe this is a feasible targets for realizing it by 2050. And then the Japanese government is going to go for further for the 50%. So in trying to realize this 46% reduction, Honda would like to fully support this, and also Honda would like to do our best to contribute to realizing those targets as well. I hope that answered your question. What was the other one? So if you ask us what are the challenges or the issues, of course there are issues that we need to overcome. But for example, maybe what you're thinking of is the battery issue. For example, if you say the battery procurement, including raw materials, that is a huge challenge by itself. But Honda, what we would like to do is for China, we would like to work through CATL and GM for North America, and then for other regions as well. We are having some discussions for other regions as well. So per region, we would like to come up with strategies for per region for batteries. So we are working on that and pouring our full attention. And of course, there will be evolution in the technology. So we hope that the all solid-state batteries, when those become available, that would change the scenarios as well. So while there are many issues, I believe that what's most important is to aim for carbon neutrality by 2050. And then by having that aim, I believe that would build back kind of the scenarios and technology that help us realize those goals. So that's the background why we propose those clear targets today. Well, the Japanese government, I guess, is very aggressive. They were kind of in line with what we are thinking of. So I believe they came up with achievable, ambitious targets. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, thank you.
次、
Are there any other questions from the floor? In the middle of third row from the front, please. Thank you very much. Hans from Automotive News. And let me ask in English. Thank you.
Your targets for North America seem very ambitious, given the lack of popularity for EVs in North America now. Can you tell us what will be important to changing the market demand there? Is it government subsidies, breakthrough in technology? And what does can you give us a snapshot of what your lineup will look like, your EV lineup in 2030? How many different models? What kind of range do you think is necessary? When will you achieve price parity? Is it profitable in 2030? These kind of questions. Thank you.
ありがとうございます。日本語で質問させていただきます。今日おっしゃられた北米市場に対するターゲット、目標値というのは非常にアンビシャスであるというふうに感じました。特に現在アメリカ市場におきましては EV はそれほど人気がないということを鑑みますと、非常にアンビシャスなのではないかというふうに思いました。どのようにしたらばこれを改善することができるのか、また需要を喚起することができるというふうに思っていらっしゃいますでしょうか。例えば助成金が出るとか、あるいは技術的なブレイクスルーが起こるとか、そういうことが需要を喚起するのにつながるんでしょうか。社長の現在のスナップショット、考えている、お考えを知りたいと思います。2030年にどのくらいのモデル数をラインアップとして考えているのか、レンジはどういうものになるのか、価格的にこの収益は2030年にそれぞれのモデルで出るというふうに考えているのか、その辺のご意見をお聞かせください。
はい、非常に
Thank you very much. It was a very difficult question, and now we have been mentioning EV every day. And however, share of EV in North America is very low, and also less than 1% in Japan as well. So this is a very aggressive targets, and hurdle is quite high. Right now, those who purchased EVs, generally speaking, they are so-called innovators or early adopters or majority, those who are interested in new type of products. However, popularization, majority people have to buy EVs, whether that is possible or not. So from the eyes of customers, convenience, and we cannot replace current convenience of gasoline cars by EV. So from the eyes of customers, by 2030, can we realize the convenience that is impacting the sales of EVs? And just making EV is not enough. We have to give added values where you cannot find with current cars, such as software-defined cars. EV itself has a value. However, with the software, the value of the EV will be enhanced. And also, in addition to that, infrastructure. Well, for example, easily be charged. Maybe you can imagine that For example, you may be living in the apartment house where the charging station is not readily available. So those who are living in the apartment, whether charging is possible or not, probably that is another challenge. So product itself and also the charging station itself, not only the number of charging station, but also the living environment has to be improved. And also for business, electrification has to bring the profit to the company. We have many challenges, but we have to overcome those challenges. And also motors, inverters, and batteries, which are the major components of EVs, and they have to be improved in the performance, and cost has to be reduced. And they have to be done at the same time. And we don't have a best solution yet, but we will make great efforts so that we can create the EV, which is valuable for customers and for us as well. And not only by 2030, we have to realize them even earlier. Therefore, we will be challenging those difficulties. And as you asked, what is the number of models? Right now, we haven't decided yet. As was mentioned, in North America, Acura and Honda brands, by 2040, we will be releasing 2 models. And other than that, we have ideas, but we have not decided clearly. So those 30 years targets will be kind of fluid. But in order to achieve them, we will be making forward-looking efforts. That is what we do.
Okay. Then the next person, the gentleman in the far end on the second row. My name is Akiya Rashi from Newspicks. I have 2 questions. The first question is, at the very beginning, you said by 2040 EV and FCV, but 100% sales by 2040. So if you say that, that means it's only 19 years later. So we will, well, you will no longer need the combustion engines and hybrid engines by then. So you would not need them for new vehicles. So yesterday at JAMA's meeting, they had a different things. They were talking about like utilizing e-fuels. So they were talking about more complex technologies, including combustion engine. That was something they were talking about yesterday. So 19 years later, you are not going to need engines and then the hybrid as well. So I want to know what kind of development strategy you have for those. Okay, my second question is about the volume, number of units. I believe Mr. Hachigo has been reducing the scale to some extent, but before that, there was a pursuit of the number of vehicles. But now I believe it was shrunk down by then. Now we go to electrification. I believe there was an issue of securing batteries, but as Honda going forward, when it comes to the new car sales numbers, what kind of concept do you have, ideas do you have for those? Okay, thank you. For 2040, 100% EV FCV. So you are firstly asking about technology. So yesterday at JAMA's industry, I believe the chairperson talked about the e-fuel. Well, Honda's position is not to rely only on the one specific technology. But we don't want to go for what we want to do is carbon neutrality, reducing CO2 by such and such. I mean, that's the target, not to get hinged on one technology. So, I mean, technology can evolve in different ways. So we don't want to just pick one technology, but we want to have different technologies available. So I don't think there's a tax subsidy for, let's say, EV, but we don't want to rely on that just because of there is. But I believe we want to leave room for all different technologies. So concerning e-fuels, and the Formula One, the fuel that is used there, we have been using e-fuel already. So in terms of technology, it can be made. However, if you think about the current situation, compared to the current existing fuel, the price is far higher, tens and 20s times. But it's a big question whether we can reduce the price of that down to the current fossil fuel-based ones. So we call it e-fuel. We call it carbon neutral fuels. So technologically, there is a possibility. And so within Honda, we are doing researches on those. So today I focused on EV and FCV. But if I don't want to say too many things because then I lose focus. But so I said EV and FCV today. But internally, we have not discarded the potential of looking into other technologies. And then we don't want to, for form of mobility that does not have any alternative way, like aircraft. There are some aircraft that flies on battery, but you can't fly on those from Japan to the States. So if there's a vehicle or mobility that does not have any alternative fuels, then those would be replaced by, let's say, carbon neutral fuels or e-fuels. That would happen. However, if you look at automobiles, because the market is very large, I wonder that kind of technology particularly for limited specialized vehicles, then that might happen. Or for fun category, where you want to enjoy manipulating the vehicles, then I believe, yes, that would probably remain. But however, is that going to be the majority? I would say just personally, this may be only my personal view, but I think that would be difficult for that to be the majority. So within what we have in our hands right now, we have EV and FCV available. But I'm not denying the technological possibilities of other technologies at all. Okay, now volume numbers. You ask about numbers. So yes, in the past we pursued the numbers, but that really equipped us with a surplus production capacity, which took a lot of time to reorganize. So Mr. Hachigo took a lot of care to reorganize that. Now, concerning the EV and FCV strategy, we don't have any plans based on numbers. But rather than that, we want to build better products so as to bring more joy to our customers. And then that, as a result, we would just monitor how many of that would sell. Of course, we will have general targets, but it is not that we will have a real clear expansion strategy. Okay, that answers, that's all. Thank you.
Next, please. The first row on the left, on the right. Katagiri from Yomiuri newspapers. 2030, 2035, 2040 targets were mentioned, and they are quite high, and you have a lot of challenges. The near challenges, for example, a COVID-19 situation, and from 25th of this month, the specific warning conditions applied, and also a lack of shortages of semiconductors. And we have a lot of currently we are facing problems. What is the plan to overcome? First, the impact of COVID-19. Last term, maybe 1 year ago, we couldn't foresee the impacts, and therefore annual plan was difficult to be established. That was the situation 1 year ago. However, demand has come back, and in globally, almost to be recovered. But India has not been recovered yet. But in terms of the sales of our products, under the current circumstances, our cars are selling quite well. What is going to be in the future is difficult to be foreseen. But in Japan, now we have a emergency situation announcement was made, and the plan, we are not incorporating those statements of the government yet. And however, in the impact of COVID-19, I think we believe that we can overcome the situation, which is the impact of COVID-19. About the semiconductors, Renaissance issues, we have complicated issues at hand. And about the impact of shortage of semiconductors, every day we have new information flowing in. And also, the same semiconductors are used for different units, and the situations are changing every day. Therefore, at this point of time, we are having difficulty of grasping the actual impact. And of course, we have impact. For example, at the end of this term, how much we can have the recovery. And also each line we have, and each plant, we have different surplus. Therefore, based on the different levels of surpluses of different factories, we will be looking and analyzing the impact of shortage of semiconductors. But now it is difficult to say.
So due to the limited time, this will be the last person we could take questions from the venue, from the gentleman in the middle, in the center, from the second row. My name is Abe from Nikkei newspaper. First, about the target of for electrification, you have set yourself a very challenging target, ambitious target, but I believe you consider it a commitment. But in order to realize this, what would you start with, and then what kind of difficulties, what kind of challenges do you need to overcome first? So that's what I'd like to ask. Specifically, what I mean is the EV, FCV product deployment, the ratio between those two product groups as well. And then another thing is you don't have any graph for Europe right now here. So is it possible that you're thinking of withdrawing from Europe? That's my first question. And second question is about alliance. So in order to achieve the electrification targets, I believe one of your options must be the alliances. What kind of approach would you take? Particularly for GM, you are doing some collaboration alliance with North America. Compared with 10 years ago, your profitability in North America has declined a little bit. So if you could touch upon the profitability improvement in North America as well and give us some input about that. Okay. Well, there are many issues and challenges. First of all, speaking of development, the biggest issue is the battery. The thing is, if we use the existing lithium-ion battery, those are very difficult to transport. So we need to have different strategy per region. So that's something we are working on very carefully. And when I say carefully, deliberately, those are very flammable. The current lithium-ion battery is very flammable. So, and then they would, once if you a battery that take up like 50% of the cost of a car burns up, that can lead to major quality problem. So we are taking painstaking care in proceeding with this. So battery will be the key. And then if you look at the current battery cost, generally what's being said is that eventually this pack per 1 kilowatt, well, $100. So we need to undercut $100 per kilowatt. That's what they say. That's the limit. But if we look at the current business, even with that, we cannot get profitable. That's our understanding. That's our take. So we need to come up with the all-solid-state battery. So we need to have that kind of breakthrough technology for us to be able to improve profitability. The thing is, all solid-state battery is non-flammable, so very unlikely to flame. So we believe that in many senses, battery is really the key. But that alone is not going to give us business feasibility. So if we come up with the new EVs, the number of components and parts used in an EV will be far lower than the current vehicles. So if you look at the current production plants, is that good for producing EV? Not necessarily. So how can we make it an efficient EV factories in an efficient way? So probably at a certain time we might have to build an EV dedicated factory. So when it comes to what shape it's going to take, we are still looking into it. And also for sales as well, the OEMs are doing sales through dealer network, but with the emerging players in this EV manufacturers, some of them go without dealers. They do online sales as well. So even the sales channels have changed as well. So the new players are giving us pressure. So the existing automobile OEMs, how are we going to compete with the new players? Are we going to stay with our channels, or are we going to go take a completely different tactics? So that would be the key. So even if you look at every area, there is no one success solution that's available. So in that sense, it's a very, very, what I know that the targets that I've talked about is very difficult. However, once the targets are set, and then if every area works toward achieving those goals, I'm sure that we will get there. So as I said, I know there are many challenges, but for 2030, we believe that we can do it. I cannot explain the reason why I say we can do it, but I think we can get there. Now, with the fact that we set the targets clearly is the first step toward that target. So as of today, please take it as that. And then you talked about alliance. Sorry, you asked about alliance. So if we think about electrification, there was a big advantages coming from different players participating. So rather than Honda alone competing in different areas, so to increase the number of players, to reduce the cost, to enhance the efficiency of production, I believe that would be a good weapon to compete. So we will continue to explore collaboration, different collaboration pathways with GM. So if there are advantages on both parties, yes, we will consider collaboration. But if you asked about alliance in general, so in the future picture that Honda draws, of course, if we can get there alone, we'll do that. However, if you think about the speed with which we want to get to the future that we want to get to, if by forming alliance, if we can get there faster, yes, we will not hesitate to get into alliances. So if the future picture that we want, the big picture requires speed, then we might go into alliance. So I hope that answered your question. I think there was another question about why there was no graph about Europe. Oh, no, just because the graph was not there, we were not going to withdraw from it because the EV ratio is far higher. It's just that we talked about 40% for states and China, and then 20% for Japan. But if you add them something, this gets close to 40%, like 39.9% or so, because the percentage in Europe is far higher. Today, I just focused on those 3 regions, but currently the number is low there. So that's why I focus on 3 regions only. And then no one asked about this, but why is Japan set the target for 20% only? Because in Japan, globally looking, the hybrid percentage is very high, conspicuously more than other regions. So by changing the combustion engine to hybrid vehicles, by 2030, CO2 reduction in terms of CO2 reduction. So by changing conventional vehicles to hybrid, that brings about good CO2 reduction. And of course, we will do EV, but if you look at the Japanese market, the hybrid percentage, I believe the hybrid is a very realistic solution. So it's not that we are underestimating the Japanese market. The hybrid percentage is high in Japan market already. So by 2030, I believe that would help us CO2 in Japan better by pursuing this for 2030 at least. That's the way I wanted to say it. Thank you very much.
Next, we would like to entertain questions from the people who are connected through Zoom. If you have any question, please push the raise hand button, and please limit your questions to 2. So from Nakanishi Automobile Research Industry Research, Nakanishi-san, please. I am Nakanishi. Can you hear me? Yes, we can. Please. And this is 3 weeks, a little over 3 weeks after assuming the presidency, but you came up with very concrete figures. I was surprised, but it is very likely, as Mibe-san. I have 2 questions. And from the backcast view, what Honda have to be was mentioned. You had set the targets, and then you will be narrowing the gap. That is what you are going to do. But today you focused electrification in your presentation. So as for the major news, Honda architecture will be made in the United States, and then collaborating with GM. This was e-architecture made in the United States with the collaboration with GM, and therefore you have 2, both e-architecture and Web3 in the United States, and also you have the Chinese local initiative in China. And in the United States, Honda e-architecture battery, CATL is the major entity to develop. But if it is developed in the United States, are you going to use Ultium battery or Honda e-architecture? You are going to make your own battery. And also for other regions, if you are on your own, how are you going to scale your business is the major issue, especially the batteries and motors. And of course, you are not intending to explain these in details, but since I'm interested in this, please answer to my question. And you mentioned in 6 years, you'll be spending investment of 5 trillion yen for R&D expenses. This is not a surprising amount, but the mass production and also the case, what was the balance in the past? And probably you will not be mentioning the balance in the past, but the appropriate balance is very important. So within 6 years, how are you going to shoot the balance? And 7 to 8% profit is targeted. And do you have the confidence in achieving this, or do you think that this will be delayed? So Nakanishi-san, your understanding was correct. We are thinking this. So based on this, the North American battery supply especially in the United States, whether we have major battery suppliers, we do not have any in the United States. GM has Altium. And this is LG Chemi, the joint venture company. And they have made the announcement to build another factory. So Altium to be used. Well, we have not decided for the batteries for e-architecture, and therefore subject to change. But Altium is the top in the list for to be used. And when we have more numbers of the cars, what should we do? And if we increase the numbers of the cells in the United States, we may be able to manufacture in the United States. CATL, if they are advancing to American market, they will be a candidate. So the liquid fuel batteries, we are not going to produce ourselves. Therefore, available candidates we will be decided. And one of the major candidate is Altium right now. And about R&D expenses, the ratio is not cannot be disclosed yet, and Monozukuri Center, manufacturing center, mass production unit was strengthened at the R&D lab, and in order to enhance the efficiency. And we are reaping results and the fruits out of these initiatives now, and we have efficiency improved. However, as was mentioned, for the future, we increased the R&D expenses compared to the past. So from D to R, from development to research, the balance or the ratio is increasing. And then R, for example, solid-state battery development has been the subject of the research at the R&D center. And after 2030, for the business growth for Honda, we are spending money in a focused way. I have asked the question of operating margin. Margin? Well, maybe I can talk about this. Well, 7% OP is the target. That is the basis of our business plan. And electrification will not change the target. As was mentioned, electrification strategy, in the past, electrification will have the cost center. So the profit we earned in the past will be spent to electrification. That was the image. However, we are trying to make electrification business to be profitable. And if we can achieve this, we can survive. Therefore, with the electrification, we are targeting with 7% OP.
So yes, please raise your hand if you have a question. Okay. Mr. Shimashita, motor journalist. Can you hear me okay? Yes, we can hear you. Okay, thank you. You talked about creativity, so I'd like to ask two things about the e-architecture. So currently the Honda E, this is good for city commuter, but I guess future it will not just be just commuter, but as a EV that people would buy. you talked about software driven and some features. So if you have any creativity, those uniqueness that you want to show as Honda, what kind of creativity are you going to do? I think yesterday, and the second question is that the Toyota was going to do racing with hydrogen. I thought that, wasn't it that the Honda used to showcase frontier spirit like that? But are you going to continue to, let's say, show your creativity and then like developing people and then also motorsports? Or, I mean, do you have any idea to kind of show uniqueness in motorsports as well? Okay. Okay, first about the E architecture, the Honda uniqueness, creativity. The Eevee platform, from a customer viewpoint, it's an area where it's very difficult to differentiate. So thinking about that, of course, the platform, well, what we used to call platform, and then you got the motor, that part is, we call it E-axle, motor gearbox integrated. And then on top of it, we got E&E architecture, so electric and electron platform sitting on top of it. So you put them all together and then we call it E architecture. That's what we mean by that. So how do we differentiate ourselves? Well, technologically speaking, there are some propositions we are thinking of. But for example, you got the regular passenger cars and you had Type S or Type R, those kind of real high performance variant. How do we do that? So we are thinking of different specifications and variants, and then we are thinking of all those in development as well. So I can't really explain specifically, but even in the EV world, we will like to showcase our Honda's uniqueness. So in some way, I hope we can do that. And then I said that with EV, it's very difficult to show distinctiveness, but EV was something that has not had before. But I think the value of a space, cabin space, I think that's something we can show. So I said that software-defined car. So in order to provide the value of the better space and cabin we give, I think using software that is something we can utilize. If you think of Honda, you might think only about the hardware, only about driving. But I think going forward, we would like to utilize software, try to provide better value for the space that people have. And then one of that such manifestation is Honda E. So you might think that's a bit different from what we have been doing so far, but it's not just the exterior design, but the interior, the cabin design, this Honda machine interface as well. So I think with that concept, we developed the Honda E. So if I think that you can sense what we are about to do with the Honda E. So even on the electrified world, we hope that you will be able to see our uniqueness. Okay. And then what was the question? After we left Formula One, Honda's motorsports, right? After we left, I think when we announced it, as Mr. Hachigo mentioned, so the carbon neutrality is something that takes corporate-wide efforts. So the Formula One team and then the key members there will work more toward developing technology for carbon neutrality for the time being. And then, so we consider that as the focus point. However, are we going to do nothing else? No, we're not taking light of motorsports because we need to win races. So as long as Honda is involved, we have to do our best. That remains unchanged. So we are doing GT races and others. What we're going to do in the future with those races, we have not decided yet. So if there was a new race category, that's based on EV. Of course, that would we will find it interesting. And then we will probably participate if we think that that's significant for us. But as of now, we don't have any specific plans. So for now, after we've left Formula One, we will be focusing our resources to carbon neutrality toward the realizing our aims. Thank you. Thank you.
それでは時間の都合により
Due to the time limitation, we will entertain a last question. Last question, Mr. Momota, a journalist, please. Can you hear me? Yes, we can hear you. Please. Thank you very much, Mr. Mibe. I have two questions. First, about the number of units. Well, maybe an ideal situation, and what is the optimum number of vehicles in the society? That has to be achieved so that the carbon neutrality will be achieved as well, and also a company can survive and with the new profitability. New services demand will be arises, and for example, Honda Solutions was established based on targeting this. So for carbon neutrality, what is the optimal number of vehicles? And in case of selection and concentration, as you mentioned you don't have any target numbers of units, but for exit strategy and business operation, what is the balance you would like to hit? And the second question about the alliance with domestic companies and the portable batteries and the fuel battery vehicles, you have alliances, and also carbon neutral fuels, mobile pack, and the fuel version of pack. Maybe you can think of Toyota or Japanese automobile companies. You may have alliances. You mentioned if the speed to achieve the target, you may have a possibility of alliances. But I would like to know the possibility of having alliances with Japanese manufacturers. Those are difficult questions about the appropriate number of vehicles. Right now, we have personal use cars, research and development and production of vehicles, and those are sold to the customers. As was mentioned in my presentation, so-called level 4 vehicles, it's called robotic taxis. And those cars and also the size of the cars will be smart technology-based cars. And based on this, we have some simulations. However, we have not come up with the solution of the optimal number of cars on the market. But definitely, the business model to sell vehicles to the customers, and then this is the end of the business. That kind of business model will be changed. With the new business deployment, looking at the size of the business, we would like to shoot for the optimization of the number of cars. And currently, we do not see a clear view of the business of EV. Therefore, it is rather difficult to set the optimal number of EVs in the market. And about the alliance with Japanese manufacturers, and we are not ruling out the possibility of alliances for domestic companies, manufacturers. And by having alliances, we have to establish win-win situation. If that is possible, we will not deny the possibility. And also, we think a possibility is quite high in the future. For example, for each company, we may have a win-win situation, but that is not enough. By having alliance, we may be able to create a new market. If that is the possibility, we will have the alliance for further development. And mobile power pack is one of the examples, as was explained. For example, switchable battery stations have to be abundant, otherwise we cannot create the market or the customers. And the OEM, four companies of OEM of bicycle, motorcycles, and the vehicles, automobiles have made alliances or the consortium.
それでは以上
Okay, thank you very much. With this, we'd like to close Honda President's inaugural press conference. Thank you very much for your participation and viewing our program. Thank you very much.